Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, I really want you to get ready for this one, because today we are looking at something that is genuinely going to bend your mind. I mean, scientists have actually created and perceived a completely brand new color. And I'm not talking about a new shade or a weird mix of paints, but a color that literally no human has ever seen before without some serious technological intervention.
So, right off the bat, can you imagine a color that doesn't exist? Seriously, try it right now. Try to visualize a hue, a totally new color that sits entirely outside the spectrum of everything you've ever experienced in your whole life. You kind of hit a mental roadblock, right? It just feels impossible. And well, that is exactly what makes the science we're about to unpack so intensely personal and absolutely fascinating.
Meet Olo. So Olo is this highly saturated blue-green hue that exists entirely outside the range of natural human color vision. Like, it is completely unnatural. To actually see it, you need direct technological intervention right into your eye. In fact, it is so incredibly exclusive and so ridiculously hard to produce that only 5 people on the entire planet have ever actually witnessed it.
Section 1, the biological bottleneck. Okay, let's dive into this. Why is this color totally locked away from us in the natural world? Like, what is actually stopping you from walking outside and just seeing a Laqua right now?
Well, to understand why Olo is impossible to see naturally, we've got to look at our own biological hardware. You see, our color vision is limited by 3 types of cone cells in the back of our eyes. We've got S cones for blue light, M cones for green light, and L cones for red light. And here's the crazy part. Every single color you have ever seen in your entire life, everything, is just a combination of those 3 cones firing together.
And that brilliantly illustrates the exact problem we have. In normal, natural vision, light wavelengths always trigger overlapping combinations of those cones. There is no natural light anywhere that can hit just your green M cones. The wavelengths will always kind of bleed over and trigger the L or the S cones too. But the Olo experience? It relies on the pure, isolated stimulation of only the M cones. It completely breaks the biological rules of overlapping light, which is exactly why nature can never, ever produce it.
So how do you break biological rules? Well, you hack them. Section 2, the Oz hack.
Researchers over at UC Berkeley developed this incredible technique that they perfectly named the Oz technique. Inspired by the dazzling green of the Emerald City. So here's how it works. First, they map out the retina using an adaptive optics scanning laser ophthalmoscope. Honestly, just think of this as a highly advanced retinal GPS system. Second, they use that incredibly detailed map to target individual M-cone cells. And third, they fire these precision lasers to selectively stimulate those M-cones while completely bypassing the L and S ones. They are literally shooting a laser perfectly into single, individual cells in the back of the human eye. It's wild.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is where the name actually comes from. It comes straight from its coordinates, 0, 1, 0. See, in the LMS color space, Olo exists at L equals 0, M equals 1, and S equals 0. Pure medium wavelength stimulation with absolutely zero contamination from the long or short cones. The researchers were literally just staring at a whiteboard, squinting at these numbers, 0, 1, 0, and boom, the name Olo.
Section 3, the qualia conundrum. Because honestly, the hard optics of this discovery aren't even the most mind-expanding part of the whole thing. This brings us to a really fascinating concept called qualia. So qualia is the subjective, conscious experience of a sensory input. It's basically how a color actually feels for you to perceive it. And because of the nature of qualia, if you haven't seen Olo, you literally cannot imagine it. There's just no frame of reference in your brain. Actually, even the 5 researchers who have seen it struggle to put it into words because human language relies on shared experiences. And this is an entirely isolated, completely brand new one.
But, they did try to describe it, and the absolute best description we have is this: a teal that's been turned up to 11. Just imagine the absolute most saturated turquoise you have ever seen, and then push it way past the limits of nature, push it past what your computer screen can show, past even what a standard high-end teal laser can produce. It's not just a brighter variation of teal, it is a fundamentally new category of sensory experience.
Which naturally forces us to ask a really deep question. Is your experience of red the same as mine? I mean, we both call a stop sign red, sure, but does it actually feel the same in our conscious minds? Olo proves that the subjective quality of color is just incredibly complex. If we can't even describe a new color to someone who hasn't seen it, could we ever truly communicate the feeling of any color to someone else?
Section 4. Upgrading human senses. Let's move to this next part and see how this builds, because creating Olo is really just the beginning of what this technology can do.
The Berkeley team is already looking at applications that read straight out of a sci-fi novel. The crucial point here is this: if we can precisely target and simulate individual cones like this, we could theoretically restore full color vision to the colorblind by effectively giving them a virtual third cone. And beyond that, we could explore tetrachromacy, literally adding a fourth dimension of color perception to the human eye, permanently bypassing our biological hardware to see an entire spectrum we were just never meant to see.
And if you're sitting there thinking the human brain couldn't possibly handle that kind of rapid hardware upgrade, well, think again. There's actually precedent for this. Gene therapy was previously used to add a third photopigment to squirrel monkeys. And guess what happened? The monkeys instantly began passing color tests that they had failed their entire lives. It turns out the brain is remarkably plastic, entirely capable of processing brand new sensory dimensions that it literally never evolved to see.
So, the main takeaway from this explainer today is this: we are actively redefining the boundaries of human perception by upgrading our senses, the same way we upgrade our phones. This isn't just about seeing a cool new shade of teal. No, we have built a door to a color that evolution did not prepare us for, bringing the Emerald City into absolute reality. And 5 people have already stepped through that door.
Which leads us to this final thought. What other sensory experiences are just waiting on the other side of our biological limitations? I mean, if a simple laser hack can unlock a color that doesn't even exist in nature, what else is our brain capable of feeling, seeing, or hearing that we just don't have the biological hardware for yet? I'm going to leave you to think about that. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what's possible.